Yeah, because it goes back to what I was thinking about with 90s animation, or like with like the original Dragon Ball Z, how like all the edges were like super sharp and like not like I like to say edgy, but that's taking on a whole new meaning now. You know what I'm talking about.
Like geometric.
Like angular, I think is the word.
That is like, and it's amazing. I can remember all 151 Pokemon. Yeah.
Did you learn that from the rap?
Yeah. I hate that fucking rap because the rap misses a Pokemon and in the image they mix up a couple Pokemon. Like they call Geodude Onyx and then they use Geodude right after.
Huh. I never noticed that. I mean, I haven't seen it in a long time. It's actually on Netflix, the whole series.
The original?
Yeah. They call it Indigo League, so I'm pretty sure that's the original.
Man, you know what my favorite thing is? I got Hulu. My sister got it, so I'm using her account. Mm-hmm. They have South Park on there, and I haven't seen South Park in years.
Oh, the original, I think up to season 5 is the best episodes. A lot of people say they don't like the first season, but I love the first season.
Are you talking about South Park?
Yeah.
I have been jumping seasons around. I like the original episodes, but I've been on episode 8. Mm-hmm. The Special Olympics episode is
where Cartman pretends to be retarded, but he keeps getting beaten by all the...
Yeah, man. Like, it's kind of funny because you can see, like, the original show, they were actually kids, and then they started evolving into these satires of kids, and I like it. It works for me. It's better than how Family Guy digressed.
Yeah, Family Guy, it's funny, like, I remember hearing, like, somebody was, like, they were talking about Rick and Morty. I think it was AV Club. They were doing a review of the 3rd season of Rick and Morty and how they were sort of rebuking the idea that Rick and Morty is a nihilistic show, and they're like, it's a show about nihilism, but if you want a show that is nihilistic, look at Family Guy, because they just don't give a shit anymore.
Yeah, I kind of like some of the newer sketches, like just the skits. Just the skits are okay sometimes.
But speaking about crappy things, welcome to the Monkey Bar. We're not talking, like, when I say crappy stuff, I'm not talking about the show itself, but rather the subject we're going to talk about. Yeah, like, I mean, the show itself isn't all that great, but, whatever. What you gonna do? Compared to what we're about to talk about, well, let's just rip that Band-Aid off. Twilight. Like, just on a whim, I decided a couple of days ago, or like a week ago, that we were gonna do an episode about Twilight because it's the like that series. The first book was released more than 10 years ago, and there wasn't much fanfare like during its 10th anniversary.
Yeah,
for obvious reasons, but you think about how huge it was. I don't even have to talk about Twilight that much. Like, for those of you who have the good fortune to not know anything about Twilight...
Can I sum it up, please?
Yeah, you go ahead.
Gothy Tumblerina before Tumblr wants to get in the pants of both a vampire and a werewolf, but neither both at the same time.
That's a good way to sum it up, the whole series. And you've only read the first book just recently.
Yeah, I listened to the audiobook because oh fuck, I hate that book.
Mm-hmm. Who is it narrated by, do you know?
I don't know, but I can give you an impression of her voice. And then I felt sad. It was a 40-year-old woman. Like, holy shit, she had the perfect tone to express my feeling. It sounded like someone shot her parents in front of her.
And she was really bored. Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah, like most of those audiobooks, they have like some B-list celebrity usually to voice over. I think that not Nolan North, the guy who played Wesley on Star Trek: Next Generation. Yeah, he did Ready Player One, I think, the audiobook for that.
Holy shit, Josh Whedon. Not Josh Whedon.
It was Will Wheaton.
Will Wheaton. God, I fucking hate him because of Big Bang Theory. He plays himself too. Literally himself. There was no change between him and Big Bang Theory.
But like the only difference between Joss Whedon and Will Wheaton is that we don't know if Will Wheaton cheated on his wife yet.
With the patriarchy.
Yeah, because of the patriarchy.
I have this thing I want to say. Do you know what would have saved Twilight if it was being read by? Everyone's so Donnie DeVito or Gilbert Gottfried. Now, here's why I want to read it. I want Bella Swan to be played like the most like Terry Crews playing Bella Swan.
I was just thinking that, yeah.
And then you have Jacob be voiced by Daniel Radcliffe with a cold.
Do they have like a separate voice actor for the male characters?
No, but she actually raises her voice for both of them. Like, it's weird. She raises her voice for the men.
I'd like Nancy Cartwright to like just do her Bart voice the whole time.
No, dude. I went to AvaCast. By the way, I'm sorry, I have to interrupt real quick. Did you hear about the papercraft Asuka?
No, I haven't.
So there's a papercrafting on 4chan. This guy made a life-size functional papercraft sex doll of Asuka. It is extremely disturbing because of how detailed it is. Like, it has breast jiggle, the eyes move, the tongue move, and apparently he's sculpting the fallopian tubes.
How do you do all that with paper?
I have, well, paper and glue.
Oh.
But still, but here's the disturbing thing.
Is it glue or glue?
Both, apparently, because
Like, eventually it will be.
Oh, God, you know what the worst part is? He's going blind due to this disease he took while he was in combat for some reason. He mentions combat in his Twitter. He's Japanese, mind you. He wants to complete her and Ray before he goes blind so he'll never be lonely. And that's really fucking depressing, but I'm really inspired by this guy.
It's like he's gone blind from all the masturbating, I guess.
Dude.
Nah, I'm just kidding.
Like, man.
Support our troops.
Well, he's Japanese troops.
Right.
Not sure if that counts, but, like, I support all troops except for attacking a country.
Right. Yeah.
Here's the thing, though. That guy and the passion he put into his project is almost this passion. If it was dispassion, it would be Bella Swan.
Yeah, Bella Swan is, like, she's gone down in history as one of the worst protagonists of any fictional
Like,
property.
Shinji whines like a little girl, but he doesn't whine as much as her.
At least he gets in the robots.
Yeah, he gets in the robot or Asuka.
Yeah, well, we don't see that part.
Can I tell you what my favorite thing is? I invented a drinking game. I don't drink, but I was drinking my water to go with it. And here's how you play the game. If Bella Swan condescends or complains, you drink. If I had alcohol, they would find me dead before hour 1 is up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she's, kind of reminds me of Kirito from Sword Art Online. Ever seen Sword Art Online?
I saw like a bit of a first episode and it didn't catch me.
Like, it's, yeah, like the first episode is the best episode, and then it all goes downhill from there. But yeah, it is sort of a like self-insert sort of scenario. They both are kind of deadpan and boring. Intentionally so, because for like self-insert, not even self-insert, but like a character who's blank enough for the audience to insert themselves.
Here's the worst part, though. She's not trying to be deadpan. There's parts where she tries to make jokes. And her jokes are like, "Why are you so pale?" And her response is, "My mother was part albino." And the guy goes, "Ugh." And based on how he's dialogued, I like to imagine he went back to his cave to beat Grugette on the head and drag her home.
I love Greg posting.
Greg posting's my favorite meme. It's actually become my favorite. I can't wait to see how Fortune kills it.
Yeah. I mean, Bane posting is still alive and well.
Oh, yeah.
And so is Steamed Hams. I mean, people say that Steamed Hams has gotten less popular, but I still think it's like a competitor to Bane posting.
God, did you know about...
And also Sneed. You ever seen the Sneed posters?
What's that?
It's another Simpsons meme, but it's like based off of this one episode. This gag is like Homer goes to like the episode premise is that they have a farm, and Homer goes to like the seed shop, and it's Sneed's Feed and Seed, formerly Chuck's. And the joke is that formerly Chuck's refers to Chuck's fucking suck. And like I guess like somebody tweeted to the writer of that episode, they're like, I don't get this. And he just spells it out to them. And then people, unfortunately, were just like clinging onto this one particular joke and just like sort of twisting and turning it all the way.
I love how 4chan thinks.
Yeah.
It's an entity.
Yeah, it's like this weird, like when it's done right, it manages to go into this like weird absurdist thing that's really, really interesting.
Yeah, I also like reading tech stories, like when you know it's false. Real quick.
Yeah, we keep getting off the topic
Yeah,
because
sorry.
the Twilight is just so bad.
So, the audiobook is 21 fucking hours. Do you know what I could have done in 21 hours? I could have slept. I could have learned to do a new hobby, a new art. I could have downloaded 21 hours of pornography. I would be less ashamed to admit I downloaded 21 hours of pornography than listen to most of, or if not the entire audiobook. My phone kept skipping, so I may have skipped like crucial scenes like Bella Swan tells people her name is Bella, not Isabella, and slits her wrists. Or she complains that her dad bought her a truck for the first time.
Yeah. Did you know there was a manga adaptation of Twilight?
I really hope whoever did it was the guy who did Parasite and her hand comes to life and starts murdering people.
That'd be great. Yeah, but Reminds me of, I just remember that because it was right after Maximum Ride got its manga adaptation. And we can talk about Maximum Ride if you want, if you're okay with that. Because it's something that I'm completely familiar with, but you've probably never heard of.
It sounds vaguely familiar of a name.
But yeah, I wanted to do like sort of a review episode of that one day, but...
Hey, maybe I'll watch it too.
Yeah, well, first we gotta talk about Twilight. It's worse than Maximum Ride, but Maximum Ride isn't that... It's still not very good. We'll get to that. Sorry. Like, the characters are, I think, like, what people complain about the most with Twilight.
My issue is the prose, the dialogue, like, literally, I am not a great writer, but I can tell you, I do most everything better than she does.
Oh, I think most people do.
Like, here's the thing. It's called Spoons, Washington. Why is it called Spoons?
Forks, actually.
Oh.
That's the complete opposite.
But, like, why is it called Forks? Like, we never explained this, and I like to...
Like, I assumed it was because it's like a fork in the road.
That's actually too clever for her to think. I think that, like, she just tried to... Like, she went to her kitchen during one of her autistic rages and grabbed the first object. But, man, I can't believe I got that wrong, because after enough while, you start forgetting most of this stupid stuff.
I remember I wrote a Twilight parody when I was in high school, and the town that I came up with was Silverware, but where was spelled W-H-E-R-E, and that's still like I was like 19 or so when I thought of that, and that's still like 10 times more clever than.
Do you know? I think like my favorite thing I've ever read about Twilight was a fan fiction with Blade and Dante.
Oh yeah.
It was by a fan of Twilight, where Dante was actually one of the. What's the fucking Edward's last name?
Cullen.
Cullen. I have to remember because I thought the actor's last name was Cullen, like Peter Cullen, because they were related, but there's not. But like they actually did like Dante was his second cousin, and like Dante came in there and he had to fight Blade off, and it was awesome.
Was it classic Dante or new Dante?
Classic Dante.
Oh, that's even more disorienting.
Here's this cool thing though: they made it work because they made all the vampires cool. So
I hope that author makes a sequel now that Devil May Cry 5 is coming out.
I really hope it.
And Dante is just an old man, a homeless man who drives his motorcycle through the.
No, that's even cooler. He lives on his motorcycle. He could drive around like fight demons, screw bitches, driving next town. Here's another thing I like to talk about with Twilight. She's an Bella Swan is an ungrateful bitch. Yeah. I hate talking about a woman character like that. I'm on a Tumblr forum and they've been redirecting how I speak about women and people. And anyways, there's this part where her dad buys her a truck from the old Indian guy. Are you familiar with this scene?
Old Native American guy, you mean?
Oh yeah.
You need to spend more time on Tumblr, you shitlord.
But like, there's this part where it's like, it's ugly and it's red and it's old, and like she spends.
But enough about the guy. Let's talk more about the truck.
Okay, that's good. But like, she keeps complaining. She keeps complaining about this damn truck until she gets in and says, "Oh, I like this." And I think that was a really subtle examination of men during sex. Oh, it's old and ugly. Ooh, I like when I get in it. I'm trying to copy your joke. Anyways, I can't think of a character that I like less than her.
Yeah, me neither, actually.
Like, I'm not trying to. Oh yeah, I was at the doctor's the other day. Doctor, and I mentioned I was listening to Twilight, and she said, "Oh my god, I love Twilight." And I'm like, you're the person who I trust my liver issues with. I don't like that. Yeah, I'm sorry if I'm trying to hold on this. Oh god, I think my least favorite thing about her character, or Bella Swan, mind you, is like, oh my god, he looked at me. He's going to hurt me. My inner woman fluttered.
Is that actually in there?
I don't remember if you used inner woman, but she definitely was. No, it was tightness in her pants, I think the line was.
Well, that's even more confusing.
Oh, no.
That's like the opposite of inner woman.
Shadman ruins another piece of literature.
Yeah. A girl with a penis.
Like, holy crap, like... And, like... I know people who are in abusive relationships. The thought of your man or your woman or your furry relative should not be a kink when they want to hurt you. Like,
well, I've met girls who are like that. Like, I dated a girl who, like, I mean, this is getting a little personal, but I dated a girl who said that she was into like simulated rape, and like you'd be surprised. Like
I apologize. I'm sorry. I'm trying like.
we didn't get there,
Oh,
but
thank God.
even I was like, that's. I'm not really comfortable with that. It's not the same as a real thing.
That reminds me of 4chan shit post about a guy who wants to hit it up a chick, do a simulated rape in the dark, and leave to lose his virginity. Anyways, another thing I remember was her whole character is condescending, like Then she meets Jacob, and it's like, oh my God, I'll pretend to be a valley girl to get in his pants. What? Where did that come from? That would be like if Optimus Prime saw Megatron like, I have an idea. I'll pretend to be a Decepticon to fight him.
Now, see, I thought that she didn't like him at first, or like she just saw him as a friend at first. But then once he gets to the werewolf form, that's where she starts like clinging to him.
I'm sorry, I don't remember the order of events, but like.
And I don't even think that happens until like the second book, to be honest.
Yeah, but like he shows up in the first one, and like she tries out like a valley girl.
Yeah, because he's like gangly in the first book.
Yeah.
But then when he gets his werewolf powers, he gets like super buff and.
So you know that Giga Chad guy?
Yeah.
What happens if he gets bit by a werewolf?
He probably gets smaller.
Like he explodes.
Oh yeah.
Oh man. Another thing I don't like about it, and this is probably the biggest thing I hate about it, is Bella Swan acts like a bitch when she doesn't have any reason to. There's like not just her dad by her truck, but like half the kids are like, hey, I want to be friends with a new girl. It's like, no one wants to be my friend. She cries herself to sleep. A lot.
Yeah, that happens even more in the second book. Like they actually spends she's actually at because that's the book where Edward leaves, and then she spends the next 5 months crying and having nightmares and screaming in her sleep. It's just the most pathetic thing.
The most pathetic thing would have been a great name for the novel. That's what they should have called her. This is the most pathetic things of it.
I mean, that would probably be the title of the essay you could write about her. And that would probably be as long as the book.
God, you know what else? She mentions, oh my God, my mom's got a new dad and he's not hip. He's a minor league baseball player and he gets rich and he bought me a CD. Oh, I hate him so much.
Yeah, there's a lot of negativity towards old people, except for Edward, because he's hot.
God, what if he was Nosferatu?
Oh, that would be interesting.
No, do you know how you do this movie? Completely, I want to pay for this and make a Twilight movie, make a remake of the first film, but you bring back and genetically engineer Max Schreck as Nosferatu and Lon Chaney as the Wolfman, and that's your Jacob and that's your Edward.
Well, that's kind of what they did with Shape of Water, except that was more Creature of the Black Lagoon.
But Shape of Water, I would say, is a more mature story.
Right.
But here's the thing, you keep an identical story, just make them hideous.
Yeah, that's the idea. And, yeah, that would be really interesting.
I have more than one friend who's like, holy crap, I would date that thing from Shape of Water.
That's kind of what Beauty and the Beast, the original, what the original novel was about.
Yeah.
It was, he wasn't a furry,
If you think about it, Twilight and The Shape of Water are two forks on the same story. Woman meets horrifying monstrosity that looks vaguely humanoid. But the difference is, the chick from The Shape of Water's name I forget was a human. Bella Swan is not human. She's what happened when Giovanni wanted to perfect on humans and created a horrible monstrosity with psychic powers.
I mean, you mean Giovanni from Pokemon?
Yes, that's my joke.
Oh, okay. So I was wondering, is he going that way? Okay.
God.
Yeah. I mean, I imagine somebody's tried doing a fan fiction of a human falling in love with Mewtwo.
God, Mewtwo's cool though.
Yeah, exactly. I would fuck him. No, not really.
Okay, I'm sorry. So, real quick, Danj, I've been a big Pokemon kick. I only recently realized Mewtwo and Mew were supposed to look like embryos. Oh. And that's freaking me out.
Well, Mewtwo is actually based on the original design of Gygus from Earthbound.
For real?
Or back when it was before Earthbound, Mother Zero, or Mother One, and he was called Guy Gig in that one. That was when he still had his physical form, and his physical form resembles Mewtwo.
Oh wow! Oh, I thought you were talking about Mew for a minute. I was like, wow, Guy Gig was so cute.
Well, he kind of.
Resembles both?
Yeah, he kind of resembles both. I mean, it's been a while since I haven't actually played the first Mother or Earthbound Beginnings, as it's called in the States.
Did you know that random fact that there was a Pokemon musical with Mew free?
Oh yeah, I saw clips of Pokemon Live, and
That's
it looks like it was like when they were performing in Milwaukee, and the audience is just completely dead.
I think a Pokemon musical could work nowadays, because they did this King Kong musical, we're doing it, where they have a giant Chinese-style puppet of Kong, and Kong can pick people up, he can move. He moves better than animatronics.
And, yeah, I was gonna say, and then he starts pissing all over the stage.
God. Man, I have another thing I remember about Twilight I didn't like. It's just, she doesn't have that bad a life, Bella Swan.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, I don't know, give her a reason to be an edgelord. I don't know, Shadman created her in a laboratory and she escaped in the night.
No, Shadman writes better characters.
No, do you know what they did? They tried copying, when did League of Extraordinary Gentlemen come out?
That was, you mean the comic or the movie?
Comic.
The comic was mid-90s.
I forget the chick, the vampire hunter one I thought. Or,
Mina Harker.
Yeah, I think like somewhere Bethany or Stephanie Myers read that, like Vermina Harker, and tried to recreate her like in South Park. But instead of cloning them, at the episode they tried cloning Stan.
No, I've heard that people they've said that. Well, they think that Stephanie Meyer based most of Twilight off of Anne Rice, her vampire novels, like Interview with a Vampire.
Oh yeah! Oh wow. Also, the sparkle scene is just fucking useless.
It's so iconic, and yet it's so bad because it's.
You can be a bad icon. Look at World War II Germany.
I mean that's a stretch. I can.
No, I mean like horrible things can also be iconic, but icon doesn't always mean good.
That's another thing that would make Twilight more interesting. Make Edward a Nazi.
I didn't mean. God, one time I went into a Persona forum, and they were discussing whether or not the Holocaust was a good idea, and that's why I just left the forum and never came back. Here's the thing I want to talk about real quick before we derail into that stuff.
That's implying that it actually happened. Think about that, huh?
I'm sorry, I like the long-nosed tribe drug memes.
You should go back in that forum and just say that.
God, I should. Oh man, I should. I need to see if it's still up.
But yeah, there's a lot you can say about Twilight.
You were saying, isn't it weird how it just kind of faded out?
Yeah.
Because it was so heavily memed.
It was up until the last movie came out, and then everybody just completely forgot about it. Just all its popularity just evaporated the day the movie came out.
When did the movie come out?
That was 2011, I believe.
Fuck, I feel old.
No, it might have been. No, I think it was 2013. I think 2011 is when the last book was published. But yeah, the last movie, a lot of people point to it as like being the best because of the climax. It completely deviates from the book.
Have you seen the movie?
I've seen the end fight scene.
Do you know what they do at the end of the end fight scene?
Yeah, it was all a dream.
Oh, I actually, I did. One of my friends wanted to watch it, and I watched it with her. And when that scene happened, I remember going, fucking bullshit! And wow, I said that loud. I just got so mad. Because you wouldn't believe how mad I was. Because it was an okay fight. Would you say that was a good fight?
From what I saw, yeah.
It was kind of like an Avatar fight, but with more emo.
I mean, yeah, one of the vampires, he literally is the Avatar, and that he can control all four elements.
Do you know what I would actually... I just had this idea a couple of days ago about how I would do the sparkle scene. Instead of the sparkle just be like a diamond, bits of skin are falling off and burning.
Well, yeah, that's exactly the idea that I had, was like the explanation for the sparkles, that it's dead skin cells.
But no, I'd have it like burn off and like, that'd be kind of creepy.
That would be an interesting effect too.
It would make that scene a lot more I might want to write a vampire story with that. And then like, oh my god, so beautiful, and all of a sudden, I'm burning to death!
If he stays out too long, then like just accelerates.
God, like that reminds me of vampires are one of my favorite monsters when done right.
Yeah. I like it how they do it in JoJo's Bizarre Adventure.
The Aztec vampire mummies.
Or like, yeah, that and Dio. And like how when they go out into the sunlight, they just completely disintegrate in like a second.
Dude, do you know what I want to have happen? I want someone to write Twilight, but instead of Edward, it's Dio.
Oh yeah, yeah.
You were expecting Edward Cullen, but it was me, Dio. No, I just had a great. I remembered one of my all-time favorite shows. They did a Spawn show for HBO, and it was really good because they had a vampire episode. And her death was awesome because Spawn was fighting her, and he got her in the dark, and was like, "Oh, you're gonna seduce me?" And he threw a crucifix through a window. When the sunlight hit her, she mutates as she burns into this wolf-like creature in skull shape, and she makes the most awful whale call. And it's like, holy shit, that was cool.
If a vampire and a werewolf had a child, what would it look like?
There's actually a creature like that. It's called Volkodlak. It's Russian. I hope I said it right. If you kill it in its werewolf state, it becomes a vampire. Kill it in the vampire state, it becomes a werewolf. And it repeats until you take a gold tongue blessed by a woman. You put it on its mouth and it will stay dead. Remove the coin and it comes back. It was literally invincible without the gold coin.
Right.
That would be a cool monster for JoJo's if they ever need one.
Oh, yeah. But yeah, anything more we can say about Twilight?
The memes.
Oh, yeah.
I think the only reason it sold really well was the memes.
Yeah. Well, you think about 2007 memes and how different the meme culture is now than it was then.
You remember when they would draw those cartoon characters as gangsters?
Yeah, like
SpongeBob with a blunt. With
like the bootleg, like South American stuff.
No, like they would do like hip hop and like rap styles of characters, or like SpongeBob wearing a cap and he's got a cigarette and money.
That's pretty recent though, isn't it?
I don't remember. I remember seeing shit like that in 2007, and a lot of Grim Reapers, an unhealthy amount of Grim Reapers.
Remember Grim Tales from Down Below, which is like a comic based around Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy, but it was written by an edgelord.
Oh god, that sounds familiar.
It's pretty decent art though. It was written by Bleedman, who's kind of a proto Shadman, if Shadman was actually a pedophile.
Oh god.
And yeah, because like Bleedman, he did that and the Powerpuff Girls doujinshi, which didn't have any porn in it.
I just had an idea of a picture I wanted to draw. You have a caveman painting on the wall, then you have Bleedman, then you have Shadman, the style of caveman, Homo erectus, Homo sapiens.
But the Powerpuff Girls one is infamous for having a scene where Dee Dee from Dexter's Laboratory gets shot through the stomach with a laser and dies. And they have like her funeral, and Dexter is trying to like rebuild her body using like real organs and stuff.
Oh god.
It's like just it's so confusing and upsetting and edgy. It's just it's memorable too.
Yeah, I think that's the secret to making a really good bad thing.
Yeah, you have to be genuine, I think.
You have to be genuine. That is one of the keys. But you also need to have interesting but equally upsetting. Upsetting's a great thing. Don't disturb them. Upset them. Like, God.
Like, it has to be something really specific, too.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah, like Grim Adventures, like the Grim Tales comic, it had a scene where Mandy, like, causes 9/11. And they use like actual photos from 9/11 from Ground Zero.
The fuck?
You're gonna have to look that up when you get home, because
that might be an episode in the future. If me, no, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna, like, if we do a Fan Sunday, if we meet up here, I want to actually record me reading the first couple pages and just hear my live response. I thought of something recently about, there's upsetting is an interesting it's a synonym, but it's also its own thing compared to disturbed or disgusted. Because it's just enough to keep you on edge. Like, Majora's Mask has always been a game I was afraid of as a kid. Because the noise the mask would make when it shook, like, like that noise, if I hear a sound like it, I get memories. Yeah, I'm sorry. So, Twilight's an interesting thing. Do you think it's captured 2007 edgelord?
I think it's diet edgelord, to be honest.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot more edgy stuff around that time, and genuinely edgy stuff too. Not because like nowadays it's when you see edgy stuff, it's more taking the piss. But then back then people were more open about like the crawling in my skin stuff.
No, do you remember from Edge stuff?
Like, remember AMVs?
God, I was about to mention those. I have a weird thing. I still listen to AMVs. I kind of like some of them.
Yeah, some of them are more chill nowadays.
Yeah, like there's one of Evangelion put to Hallelujah, and it just makes so much sense. But God, like Alucard and AMVs and goth rock. Not even a good goth rock. Do you know what else I'm sorry about Twilight? Twilight has one good reason for it to exist. It created it created my immortal.
Oh yeah.
Like, the last parts are a troll thick, but the beginning is just...
Did that come out after? Did My Immortal come out after Twilight?
It had to, in my opinion. I don't remember the date, but there's just so much like...
Because I could have sworn it came out in 2004, which was like a couple years before.
I know, it's weird. It might be Mandela effect, but it has so much in common with the structure of Twilight. Bitchy girl, Tumblerina bitchy girl. She has a friend that turns out to be they have a vampire. They have fucking vampire Edward Malfoy, and then they brought in the second guy as Demon, which is what they call Harry Potter. And also, he's like, it's weird. There's a lot of structure similar to Twilight. So much I can't ignore it.
You know, Harry Potter's been getting a lot of flack recently, mainly because of J.K. Rowling's Twitter antics. But people are saying that, one of the guys I follow on Twitter, he posted a poll saying, you know, who's a bigger hack, J.K. Rowling or Stephanie Meyer? And like more than 3/4 of the people who voted for J.K. Rowling. And I think that's because, Harry Potter is overrated.
I think
Like
it's
more people are starting to realize that, and Twilight was never good.
Like, what I have to say, Harry Potter is nothing fine, but I like Fantastic Beasts.
Yeah, I've never read Fantastic Beasts.
I didn't read the book. I saw it's actually not a true book.
Right.
What the book is the monsters, and I like that. What I meant is, well, she wrote the screenplay for the movie, and the movie, I hate to sound like a simple person, but the movie did something really cool. It took the idea of monsters in the city and made them the victims. I liked that. There's no one coming out. I'm going to admit it. I'm a sucker for Harry Potter. It's part of my childhood, you know?
Now, I'd love to see Harry Potter, but like crossed over with, or like have a futuristic twist on it, like Shadowrun.
Oh, that'd be cool, but you know what I would do? Harry Potter, but set in Victorian times. And you have Lovecraftian horror thrown in there. Like, that'd be a cool idea, actually, a school of cultists.
Yeah, because I like the style of Harry Potter. It's just that some of the writing gets a little bit messy.
Yeah, I can't stand how Hagrid talks. Like in the book, I'm being a ya, and it's not good Cockney. There's only, and I have a rule, there's only one fictional race that can talk like that, and that's the Orcs in 40K. Ya stinking grots.
Yeah. A lot of people have sort of pointed out that the goblins in Harry Potter, they're Jews, yeah. Like, what if we had, they're Jewish stereotypes, but they're ugly and their noses are bigger? It's like, who approved publishing this?
No, just take their noses off and it's okay, though.
Yeah. I mean, I kind of, I don't know if it was ballsy of them, but I think that they just didn't catch that when they were publishing it.
I think the same thing. I don't even think, like, Stephanie Meyers has, J.K. Rowling has some, it's ruined my brain, man, because all I can hear in my head is Evanescence and me killing myself with a bathtub and a toaster. But, like, actually I should read the book to Evanescence to see if that improves the quality. But, like, the thing with J.K. Rowling was she had some interesting name choices. I'm not sure if that counts, but, like, her names were cryptic and confusing, but if you figure them out, they're cool. Like, Severus was named after a British lord or a person who ruled during the days of William the Conqueror, some shit like that. I don't know her Twitter addict, other than she said Hagrid was going to die and she didn't let him.
And she goes back and, like sort of rewrites her characters and being like, you know, like the prime example being her saying Dumbledore was gay all along. And it's like, that doesn't really need to be said. But, I mean, it does kind of, affect the book and, like, affect someone's reading. I don't know.
Here's the thing I kind of do. If I do a character that's, say, gay, let's do gay, for example, and I have a post-apocalyptic story. I have 2 gay characters. I never reveal they're gay. And that's the thing. It doesn't need to be said sometimes. It can just be something you keep in the back of your head when you write them.
Yeah. I mean, like, her stuff is kind of like Hidekiano, like, going back. Like, I know how you feel about the rebuilds.
Oh, fuck. If she did a rebuild, like, call it, like, Harry Potter Reenchanted, I would hunt her down and shoot her, because only one person can do that. Imagine if Hideaki Anno directed a Harry Potter anime.
I mean, that would be interesting if they had, like, a anthology, sort of like Halo Legends or The Matrix, Animatrix.
I wouldn't mind seeing, like, Hideaki Anno, because I hate him. Like, I hate them. Me hates them. I live in my cave eating fish. But at the same time, I think he's a great writer at times. He has that thing. He either creates complete shock, or schlock, however you say it. Schlock. Or he does some of the best, in my opinion.
Have you seen his early stuff, like Bubblegum Crisis?
Not really, but I'm talking more about Ava and because
Yeah.
Ava's got complex lore. It's an interesting world. He just fucked it up.
But like then you compare that to the lore of Twilight.
It's got an interesting world,
Yeah.
but she picked the wrong characters. I'm always a bit of a sucker for urban fantasy.
Yeah, I'd argue that even the world isn't all that fleshed out. It's more like, it's just our world, but you just drag and drop a few vampires in there.
Yeah.
I mean, like, there's the Vampire Society in Italy or whatever.
Yeah, like the Roman Catholic vampires, that I call them.
I liked,
The Roman flak fires.
I like the guy who played their leader in the movies. Yeah.
Dude, do you know what I would actually think? I would like to see Stephanie Myers do like a really horrifying, twisted setting. Like have her do not Lovecraftian, have her do post-apocalyptic.
Well, she did that with The Host, and that was just awful.
Oh, fuck yeah. I'd say that's more dystopian. I want to talk about something. Have you noticed that Twilight the people who've hated Twilight have moved on to a new subject?
Yeah, Harry Potter is what I've seen.
Oh, no. I'm talking about 50 Shades of Grey.
Oh, yeah. Well, even that's just collapsed now, too.
Yeah, it's interesting, because I'm not sure if it went back to Harry Potter, but there's this, it's an energy that follows the worst works. Like, they went from better story than Twilight to better love story than 50 Shades. I can't wait to see what they do next.
Yeah, that'll be interesting to see.
Because they'll have, it was a better hard R horror film than My Hero Academia. I kind of want to get into it because I have this thing. The more someone hypes something up, the less I want to watch or see it. It's not even me trying to be a hipster. I just don't want to be disappointed. I know. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I mean, I would recommend just watching it as soon as possible then.
Yeah.
Just, watch, the first season, the first 12 episodes.
This is going to sound awful. Do you know what I'm really interested in watching? I saw the moms. Decker's mom and...
Oh, yeah. Baku's mom.
Here's the thing. I would have rather had, a side story about these, I'm sorry, I'm rambling here, but about the mother of a superhero. Do you Aunt May and she turns on the news and it's like, oh shit.
I mean, that, they do sometimes cut back to Deku's mom and, her reaction to, because some of their adventures are broadcast on the news.
Can you imagine if
she's just, crying hysterically.
Imagine if, he had to fight, I'm sorry, there was this PSA game where they had a villain called it was a thing, it was Canadian sex ed, and they made it a flash game. Where you have to fight the Sperminator who's shooting gonorrhea beams at you. You play as Captain Condom and Kid Anaphylactic, or not anaphylactic, prophylactic. Yeah. And he has giant dicks for hands. I kind of want him in My Hero Academia. And then and you just cut to the mom standing there in abject horror.
Speaking of superheroes, I would like to talk a little bit about Maximum Ride, because that is a superhero-themed series of novels written by James Patterson. James Patterson is known for doing his Alex Cross novels. Those are the detective books that got adapted into a few movies. The last one was with Tyler Perry as the main character. And it was just awful, from what I understand.
That's the rule. If you want to kill a project, put Tyler Perry in it.
But there was also a movie of Maximum Ride. I want to talk about that in a bit. I just want to get the basic gist of the plot out of the way of the novels. It's about 6 kids with wings, so they look like angels. They're all have I think it's 96% human, 4% bird. And genetics don't work that way, but whatever. They live in isolation in the Rocky Mountains, and one day they get attacked, or they have to fly cross country and figure out their origin or whatever, and it just gets really messy, and there's a lot of stuff that there's a lot of plot points that are left hanging or just never resolved. I wouldn't recommend the book. However, I would recommend the manga version of it, because the manga is actually a lot better. James Patterson is a hack writer, and he's really terrible at writing action scenes and just writing in general. But you just take all of most of the writing and just translate it into really good art. And like the dialogue is still kind of clunky, but it flows well enough with the pictures that I would recommend the manga as the definitive way to read it. They actually have it at the library, too.
I might look at. I'm sorry. I'm giggling about something stupid here.
What?
There's a meme on Ava Geeks because they found a Cantonese bootleg of Evangelion by a guy who just barely speaks Japanese, and a couple of the lines included Asuka being quote unquote seabird princess, half human girl. And I think that she's half seagull, because they had her half seagull, and no one's been able to watch the dub because the tape went missing, and I'm pissed about that, but it was a real thing that happened. A random other note was because of my father, I saw what they call Gendo. They call him Chief Dong.
They actually have a Gendo-type character in Maximum Ride, and that's Jeb, who's Max's surrogate father.
This is going to sound bad. In the Cantonese version, I wonder if we call him Chief Dong. I'm a grown-ass man. I laugh when I hear Chief Dong. But, like, how messy is it?
Like
the writing.
It's, like, it starts out competent enough. The first book, it's semi-solid. It's mostly for kids, but they do get into some gory stuff, which is pretty interesting. It's not until, like, the third book that it really starts to get bad. And just, like, I can't remember how many books there is. I think there's more than 10. And by then, it's just like, fuck it.
Like, I kind of like kids' books that are trying to jump above their level.
It's definitely, you can definitely tell that James Patterson was writing more of a script. He had that idea. It reads more like a script for a movie than it does a book.
I didn't know.
And, like, there is a movie that was eventually made. And this ties back into Twilight, because the director of the Twilight movie was originally signed on to direct the first movie of Maximum Ride. Back in 2008, I believe.
That's actually not a bad director choice.
Yeah, but eventually, like, I think it was like she wanted to reshoot the movie or even rewrite the entire script because she wanted to direct more action scenes. And I guess that project eventually fell apart. And it wasn't until, like, last year or like the year before that a direct-to-Netflix movie was shit out onto Netflix, and it is like probably the worst thing I've seen since like the last sci-fi original movie I saw.
I can top you. Look up Leo the Lion.
Oh yeah, I've heard of that one.
Yeah.
But this is a live-action movie. It has child actors who can't act, and like the flying effects are on par with Birdemic.
I'm sorry. I
couldn't make it 15 minutes through without just turning off, because it's on top of that, it's boring. It's
not even that kind of bad that you're interested. Because I can put up with bad if it's like hysterically bad. Oh God, I kind of want to look into it now. What I want to do though is I want to read as many of the books as I can. Yeah, I kind of like the idea of bird people in the Rocky Mountains. I wonder if I could put them in the Blue Mountains, West Virginia, Mountain Mama, take me home.
But yeah, there was also there's also a Marvel Comics series based around Maximum Ride.
I have a question. How do they have like a quarter bird? Not even a quarter bird, like 5%.
In the books, or because like in the Marvel series, it's actually different. In the books, they're sort of raised from birth, like they're grown in a lab and they're injected. So it's kind of boring. But like in the Marvel comics, they actually have like cybernetic implants in their backs, so they actually fold into mechanical wings.
Archangels, like, Angel from X-Men, like, motherfucker, they stole it.
Yeah. But like that version is actually kind of like it's like the art is significantly worse than the manga adaptation.
I just thought of something here. That's a very, growing humans with animal traits in a lab would be a really good story. But from a scientist perspective, it's a really interesting one.
Yeah, there's a scene in the first book, right near the end, where they free a bunch of animal kids from this underground lab in the middle of New York. And we never hear about this again.
Do they say what kind of animal the kids are?
Well, yeah, in the manga, they show, a cat kid and like some mice children,
It'd be funny.
but they're never brought up again after that.
They find a kid who's half Lake Titicaca frog, and he's all wrinkly and fat, and his legs are broken and speared and spurred. Help me!
And then the frog girl from My Hero Academia falls in love with him.
Now, do you know why that's horrifying, not just wrinkly skin? Mount Titicaca frogs are the only frogs that have spikes. They will take their bones and break the bone out of the skin to create a spur, and they'll attack with them. I want you to picture you're fighting this kid, and he breaks his elbow, and there's a spear coming out of it. You start running, screaming.
Reminds me of if Jabba the Hutt had to fight someone.
That'd be cool. Man.
You know, we can get hired by Disney to do the Jabba the Hutt standalone film.
I wouldn't mind seeing a movie about the Hutts if it was damn good. Make a political drama like different Hutt lords. I like the Hutts.
Yeah, I mean, I sort of don't like Star Wars anymore, but yeah.
I like. There's this guy who's worked on a Star Wars RPG game thing in one of my Discord groups, and I asked him, "Can I play a Hutt?" He said, "Maybe." So just picture like my Hutt's on a giant cart. Wheedle me faster, slaves.
You ever seen any of the Star Wars fan films?
No, because I have taste. I actually have seen like one.
Yeah, I remember back in the mid 2000s, 2005, when the Star Wars website was still up. I mean, the Star Wars website is still up, but back when it was you could when it was owned by Lucas or by Fox or whatever, and you could actually upload. Maybe it was actually a fan site, but I remember seeing because I was really obsessed with Star Wars, and this was during the time of the prequels, so I was dumb back then. But there were a bunch of pretty competently made Star Wars fan films.
I remember one where they had Darth Maul fighting Jedi dude, and it was kind of cool.
I remember one that was two Sith, and each of them had a double-bladed lightsaber, and they were fighting each other.
There's actually an academy in South America for lightsaber fighting, and they don't just teach you to swing it, they teach you to jump and fight.
Well, I know that there's different styles that they invented for lightsabers.
You know what the stupidest thing is? If there was one in Ohio, if it wasn't too far from Overland, I would learn the fight as a Jedi.
Oh, hell yeah.
Cause they have this thing called a light club where it's 75% saber and it's longer, and I just picture it was according to the lore of the light club, they were used by Wookiee Jedi. So picture a Wookiee-sized lightsaber. That's a fucking berserk sword of Star Wars.
I wonder if there's any pictures of hairless Wookiees.
I remember, it doesn't count as canon. One of my friends wanted to do a Star Wars campaign, and the whole villain was a Wookiee who had half of his fur burned off. And they called him Man Dog because he looks like a man dog.
I just remembered, there's pictures of Mario and Luigi without their mustaches. I imagine that would be the same effect as a hairless Wookiee.
Oh God! No, what if it turned out Chewbacca looked like an anime girl under all that? They actually look like anime people, but they're so covered in hair. Huh. And my favorite thing about Star Wars fans are you get those really, maybe just before Last Jedi come out, you had the old, oh my God, Star Wars is so good! And then you hear the thunderous stomping. Only old Star Wars is good. And they all look like Jabba the Hutt with a tranquilizer, so they talk like this. Did I ever tell you about that video I saw about the guys with Devil May Cry? And they had the guy, the fat ginger guy without his shirt on and the black guy sitting next to him. Did I ever tell you about that video? It was when Devil May Cry, the reboot came out. And what happened was this big fat guy wanted to talk about why it sucked. And I'm laughing because of the shock of this memory. Where the black guy would hand him like a game and goes, Devil May Cry 1. Every time he moved, he had Gan Express bounce. We're 1. And he looks at the second game and throws it away. 3, 4. What do they have in common? White-haired Dante. And every time he'd move, his belly and his boobs would shake like jello.
This is the ideal male body.
God, if you had to ask me what I picture the neckbeard king looked like, he's the Goblin King of neckbeards, except and the black guy looked like he wanted nothing to do with this. I bet it was his roommate, hey Jamal, come here. I want to do a YouTube video. No, Neat Lord.
Reminds me of that, because I actually got around to watching that Eat the Pussy video where he's running out of the Applebee's restaurant or something, and he's talking about how he took a shit in the toilet and it overflowed.
Oh my God, yeah. Picture him, but white and Scottish. Or at least ginger. God, random fact about Scottish people, there's a guy on my Facebook friends who I don't know who I friended because he gave me I misclicked and I already friended him. He's a Scottish Godzilla and Evangelion Spurg. I never thought I'd hear today, you're a wee bit of a cunt, Shinji. That's an actual thing he posted, and that's like my new favorite way to describe an Ava geek.
Did we talk about Kingdom Hearts?
Oh god, yeah.
Yeah, because how much time do we have? Yeah, we got time. I mean, because like people are talking about Kingdom Hearts again because Kingdom Hearts 3 is coming out soon, or quote unquote soon, next year I believe, or January.
Until it gets delayed.
Yeah, again, yeah.
That'd be funny. Imagine if Valve it's coming in 2018, and Half-Life 3. And right before it happens, there's a bombing, and then Valve has to rebuild from start, and they have to re-release Half-Life 1 and 2 to get the monies to make 3 again. And then what's about to happen? The apocalypse happens.
Yeah, I mean, like Gordon Freeman should be in Kingdom Hearts 3. He was already in Final Fantasy 15, so.
He was.
Yeah.
Dude, do you know who needs to be in Final Fantasy or Kingdom Hearts 3 if they have one non-Disney IP? What world is this? And they walk in there, and it's like what was it? No, Godzilla. I was gonna say Goddamn until I forgot. No, the Kingdom Hearts crew walks in there, and it's black. It's Bible Black. And it's just like, it just cuts to Goofy standing in shock, and you hear all the hentai stuff happening and screaming, and Goofy leaves them behind to die to the Heartless.
Well, Goofy is the only Disney character who is canonically fucked, because he has a son.
I know. Like, no, that's where he got his son from, the universe of Bible Black.
You ever seen clips of the dub of Bible Black?
No, I want to watch it on Valentine's Day and do an episode about that.
I mean, yeah, I think that is in my notes that we eventually gotta get to that.
On Valentine's Day, right before or after.
I actually started watching High School DxD.
Was it good?
It actually is surprisingly good. I watched the dub, which is actually pretty funny.
Do you know does it count as a dub if it was obviously done for comedy?
Well, I mean, I think the original is done for comedy too, but like I always like it when like they break the script a little bit or like bend it to like sort of rewrite it. Because I think they did the same thing with High School of the Dead.
God, I love that anime.
Yeah. I remember watching the sub a while ago, and I wasn't that interested in it, so I was meaning to watch the dub version.
Here's my favorite thing: they mispronounced one of the Japanese characters' names. It sounds like Psycho, because she's a high school student who has a katana and kills with it. Mm-hmm. Here's my favorite thing about High School of the Dead, real quick. There's a chick with a sword who has expressed interest in killing humans and has killed before, and there's a fat, nerdy, bullied kid who's creating a supply of guns. Yeah. I'm sorry, that sounds horrible. I'm just picturing a school shooting going on, and then she pulled out the sword and they fight. Remember all those like edgy Columbine things for Doom? Yeah. I'm just picturing that as an anime.
I remember Super Columbine RPG.
Oh, God,
it was like just
never changed.
Yeah, was that Newgrounds?
I thought it was Newgrounds.
It might have been on Newgrounds for a little bit, but I remember downloading it off the guy's website. It might have been.
Was it good?
No. Like it was just kind of. It was this weird mix of being preachy and being satirical, and it ended up being neither.
Preserical.
Well, yeah, sure. Let's invent words now.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Because like it's played straight almost, where it's like sort of sad and melancholic, but then you get to play after they kill themselves and go to hell, and like then there's doom music playing, and you get to fight cacodemons, and I think you end up fighting Satan from South Park.
That's kind of I don't want to say awesome.
If the whole game was like that. If the whole game was like the aftermath and set in hell and everything, then it would have been like Postal 2, where it's like
stupid idea.
Yeah, stupid but fun.
What you do instead of a menu, if you like put cursor to play game, he's got the gun to his head.
It's weird because like they also showed like actual photographs of their corpses from real life.
No, I'm sorry.
But then like it's like from then like because that's what gives it like that weird feeling of like, are they trying to be serious or are they trying to be satirical? It didn't really mesh together.
Yeah. Oh God. Like I have a secret. I can't stand seeing real dead bodies.
I mean, I'm okay with it.
Like, well, Yeah.
And, like, I don't know. I just have a different outlook on it.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm okay if I get some warning, but, like, I remember we had Vietnam in our class. It's like, trees, stock footage of helicopters, person being roasted alive by napalm.
You see was it, no, wait, yeah, because I was going to say, was it the Ken Burns version, but that only came out last year.
No, it was for school. She collected all the stocks in the gift my teacher did for online school. Also, they made the best sex ed class I'll ever have.
Oh, tell me more.
Here's why. We had an entire section on STDs, and here's what it was. It was 4,000 by 4,000 pixel images of STD penises and vaginas.
I've seen those, yes.
And my response was, I'm never having sex.
Uh-huh. I remember, like, the one that we had, it showed, like, a penis, but, like, it looked like a lion's mane. It was, like,
God.
shit growing out of it.
Yeah, or, like, there was one, it was, it looked like a villain from Doom. It had all the pulsing tumors and tentacles.
Did they show you the blue waffle?
I don't know, but they had everything but that.
Huh.
Here's the thing, though. Here's the thing. Do you know how they could make it even better? If it was VR.
Oh, yeah.
VR, I wouldn't mind actually funding that, and the best part of the whole thing was, like, I think I could cure incels. Show it to them, they'll become cells.
Oh, wait, no, I think the term is Volcel.
Volcel, they'll become Volcels. Do you know what else I kind of remember about early internet that I miss? I miss the honest-to-God crazies that weren't too over the top. Like, I remember, I'm not sure how recent it was on the internet, like, I was trying to look up a Pokemon. And, like, I remember it was Hypnotoad. Not Hypnotoad. There's a Pokemon Hypno something.
Yeah, I think it's just Hypno.
Hypno. I ended up on a hypnosis fetish site, and that shit scarred me. Like, I remember, or, like, because the thing was, remember back in the internet when the crazies kept their own site?
Yeah.
And nowadays it's like you go on Tumblr and it's like from the left, from the right, they come out.
Yeah, it is social media that's, like, because, yeah, it used to be, like, separate websites, like separate, like, were sort of, like, kept these people contained, but now it's like you have Facebook and you have these subgroups for, like, those exact sites.
I want to make an edit now. I want to do edits. Jeff Goldblum in Jurassic World going, you know, welcome to fetish world, and you got the picture like Chris Chan, Nick Page, all the horrible twisted people.
I was thinking like him saying, you know, your social engineers spent so much time figuring out if they could, they didn't realize that they shouldn't do.
God, yes, and like
that's more the bootleg quote.
God, like, man, I'm sorry, random thought. Jurassic Park is one of the best biopunk stories ever. The movie. It's a punk story, yeah, you know, the other thing I missed about early internet was the designs, the horrible eye-bleeding colors on your GeoCity account and crap like that.
Well, there's actually a video game coming out on Steam. It's called Broken Realities. I think it's Broken Reality, I think, is the title, because Vinesauce actually streamed like the preview or like the demo of it, and it does have that sort of aesthetic, the vaporwave stuff going on there. Like, I would highly recommend checking it out because it does have that eye-bleeding effect to it. And you really need to see it in order to really get it.
I have a fun story about early internet. Well, early internet for me, it was 2007, 2009. I noticed I always skipped the middle year. I always didn't freeze, a weird thing. And I discovered this site, and the site was a role-play site where you made your own kaiju and had them fight. And I had a guy, he actually drew some of my monsters. And they kicked me off for quote-unquote being, I believe the term was, ass cancer embodies the human. And it was like the most hardcore like website breakup I ever had. I was in tears because of how bad, like, these people did stuff like they would send me like shock images. Anyways, something happened recently. I rediscovered my old website that I kept all these things on. I rediscovered this, and this used to be my weakness, my kryptonite, but I've taken my own cringe and I wrestled it. It was like the battle between Hercules and Atlas, and now he's carrying the sky and I have the 3 golden apples. Long story short, I miss my early internet self because I love making fun of it. Like one time, I remember, and this is, like, I stumbled upon 4chan when I was younger. I posted a picture I did of Alucard. Guy asked me if I had cerebral palsy, Vendor was partially blind. And to think, 4chan's one of my favorite websites.
I remember one of the first drawings I ever did on my tablet. It was around that time, like 2007 or so, and I drew a cat girl, but I didn't have Photoshop, so I had to draw it in MS Paint, and it looks exactly what you'd think a cat girl in MS Paint would look
That's
like.
actually how I drew Alucard.
Yeah.
MS Paint did a lot for us.
Yeah, it's like you gotta be resourceful.
I have a friend who only draws in MS Paint. He does some of the best paleo art ever.
I believe it. I actually saw that there's a trick to use gradient effects in MS Paint.
I think that's what he does for the eyes, because there's way too good shading there. And plus, you can do awesome pixel art in MS Paint.
Yeah.
Man, do you know what'd be interesting for the kids these days? Actually, no. You remember there was a Newgrounds that was like it was called like Windows Doors. It was a game it was like an OS inside your OS, but it was like you could go. It was weird. I'm trying to remember what to explain. It was like crap. Right. You know the Windows where they had or it was the OS with the blue icon. Yeah. The Windows. It was like that Windows. If you show that to a kid these days, he's like, "Where's Cortana?"
Well, there's actually games now that simulate that exact effect. I can't remember what it's called.
Isn't one like Amy is Waiting or talking?
Emily is Waiting or something. And there's one that's like a role-playing game inside of a fake OS, and it's called Kingsway. Kingsway is what it's called. And it's like you open the application inside of this application, and it's like you have like a desktop where you can like have a music software to play like the soundtrack of the game. And it's really interesting.
That's a cool idea. I like OS inside a game thing.
Yeah, it seems like there's a lot of those coming out. There's also one where you play as an antivirus that fights a virus on a person's desktop.
There's also, they have that in Prey, the new Prey game. You could kind of use computers. Prey 2015 is a damn fine game. I've been playing a lot of it recently.
I remember people were complaining because it wasn't a sequel to the original Prey where you play as a Native American.
Can I be honest? The original Prey story was fucking awful.
Yeah, a lot of games back then, they went a little too far with the creative liberties of the story.
It was like half like, bum 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 bum, you must fight the great Wendigo, and the other half was like Lovecraftian and H.R. Geiger.
Yeah, I remember seeing screenshots of the second Prey back when it was called Prey 2, and it was like you had a hub world that was like an alien city.
You were a bounty hunter.
Yeah.
I kind of wish they would remake or make a game along that lines.
I mean, it looks like the closest thing that's coming out now is like Cyberpunk 2077.
Oh man, I'm excited for that.
Oh yeah, like I think it's like the one game that like I'm legitimately excited about because I've watched the trailer like 7 times. And like there's no gameplay in it, but just the aesthetic and the soundtrack and like the presentation alone is selling me on it. Yeah. And the fact that it's created by CD Projekt Red, who did The Witcher 3.
Do you know what my favorite thing is? There's a couple games I'm excited for. And one of them became, like, 76, if Fallout 76 has climbed up there. I'm not sure how. I think it might just be the memes and the song that's really got me thinking. Do you know what I would like to see in a Cyberpunk game? Take, like, Cyberpunk 2077 and have, like, a DLC where they put you in a third world country with valuable cool technology. Like, you know, like, you walk into a bar and you've got a $5,000 eyepiece, a $25,000 shoulder piece, and all of these really poor villagers start looking at you funny.
See that done in Mexico. I mean, I say that because I've been watching Breaking Bad again.
I need to watch that.
That's good.
Well, you have a fat black guy in there? He's a comedian.
I'm trying to think, like, because was he in the first season?
I think so. All I know about the show is it was good. Bryan Cranston redeemed himself there.
I don't know if he ever, like...
I thought that he got some flack before that came out because they found out he was an anime voice actor.
Like, I mean, I know he was in Macross, but like, I don't see why that's a detriment.
You know what's weird? Voice actors shit on dubbers. It's weird. It's the same format, but the difference is, it's weird. I know some weird crap about like, there's some prestige about being a voice actor for a video game or American pro. I'm sorry.
Maybe it's a union thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I remember, like people like Macross, the movie that he did. It was generally well received. His performance was well received, and I loved him in Malcolm in the Middle.
Oh yeah, I love that show. I've also been watching what's the show after they made Malcolm in the Middle, like the spiritual successor. There's like a show that has the same mom and it's the same story.
I'm not sure I know what you're talking about.
I think it's called The Middle or just like that.
Oh, Is she in that?
Yeah.
Because I think I remember, like, I might have seen. Was it the one with the janitor from Scrubs plays the dad?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know if that was her actually, because I think I would have recognized her.
Yeah, maybe age helped, or I don't know. I like how this episode started with Twilight. Now we're just BSing things we remember.
Yeah, I mean, Twilight is pretty much a hallmark in the mid 2000s pop culture, for better or for worse.
Do you know who Halsey is, a musician?
Sounds familiar.
She did a song called something Americana, where it's like, legalized weed, gay football players, shit like that. It's an awful fucking song. But I want to make a parody of that called, 2000s Americana. We were listening to Evanescence, and then we had Twilight.
Evanescence was in the Daredevil soundtrack, the original Ben Affleck movie.
Oh, I thought you were talking about a new one. God, it's not a bad pick for how edgy that film was.
I mean, yeah. I mean, in terms of, keeping with the edgy theme,
Yeah.
then sure, yeah.
Do you know what I would like to see a superhero guy movie? Ambush Bug.
I mean, yeah, I know you said that before.
Yeah, or another one who definitely needs a film, Martian Manhunter.
Oh yeah, Well, I don't know if DC currently would be able to, or would be willing to, because I know that the screenwriter for Batman, for Man of Steel and Batman v Superman, he went on record saying that Martian Manhunter sucks. Or he says he was at Comic-Con and he was like, anybody who knows who Martian Manhunter is needs to get laid because you're all nerds or something.
Fuck, how many?
It's fuck him, yeah.
Dude, most people who like DC saw the cartoon.
Yeah, Justice League. That's one of the greatest, I want to say one of the greatest action cartoons of all time.
Yeah, it's up there in my opinion with Teen Titans, Batman the Animated Series. Trying to find a non-DC one here.
Oh, that's a tough one.
I like Ben 10.
Yeah, Ben 10 was okay.
It's more nostalgia for me because it was one of my favorite shows.
Kim Possible.
Oh yeah, definitely.
My Life as a Teenage Robot. That was okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I like the style in retrospect, but when I was a kid, I was like, this is dumb. It's all flat and stuff. Same with Danny Phantom. I mean, I like Danny Phantom better though. Nowadays, I'm like,
Marvel hasn't really had that. No, the old '90s Marvels.
Oh yeah, Spider-Man TV show.
The Hulk one.
Yeah, that's right.
I like the Hulk one.
I remember the episode where he fought Wendigo.
Oh yeah, that happened.
But yeah, I was actually thinking about the Spider-Man cartoon last night because I was thinking about who they could have in the Spider-Man sequel to Homecoming. And I was thinking they could have Madam Web in there.
Do you know who I would pick?
Remember Madam Web?
Yeah, she was. Wait, was she the Hydra woman?
She was this sort of oracle who predicted the future and stuff.
Was she a villain?
No, she was Spider-Man's ally. Or she was ambiguous until the end or so.
Oh. Do you know what I would like to see Marvel take a crack at a villain who hasn't really had film? The Rhino. I know he's Amazing Spider-Man, they kind of BS'd him here. Here's how I would do Rhino. Make him a gamma mutate. Have him have him be a guy who's I want to help, he has to set this after Infinity War. This guy called Thanos came and he kicked Earth's ass. What would you like to do, Mr. Borakowski, because he's Russian in every version? I want you to give me Gamma. And you make him this Gamma mutate who doesn't know he's a villain. You make him think that he's the hero. And you have him beat the shit out of Spider-Man. Because Spider-Man really doesn't take a licking in the movies. Have you noticed that? In the newer ones. Because, I remember Green Goblin and Doc Ock whooped his ass.
Oh, yeah, the Raimi films, they don't hold back.
Oh, they beat the shit out of him. You don't see that in Marvel with the heroes much.
Yeah. I mean, I like the Spider-Man movie. I don't like the portrayal of this character that much.
I like how they did the villains.
Yeah.
You can tell you could tell which characters he liked more. Because he redeemed Doc Ock with Alfred Molina's take on him. Because he's a stupid character, and if you think about it, I am a German scientist who like nuclear, and now I have robot tentacles. But there's two takes on the character. They made this comic called Doc Ock Year One, where they made him more obsessed with cybernetics and nuclear things and had a mom complex. Or we do the Molina take.
It's kind of like what they did with Mr. Freeze in Batman the Animated Series.
Man, I just want to make a team of all the villains who have a sad backstory and are likable people. And they're all doctors, hello, Dr. Freeze, hello, Dr. Octavius. And dude, I want to do a crossover fan fiction where it's all the villains super doctors. You know what I think I would like to see? Actually, Infinity War did that okay when they started beating the shit out of the Hulk. Because you know that in probably the next film, did Hulk, I'm sorry, I don't want to, oh, well, it's been out for a while. Hulk didn't vanish, right?
Right.
Yeah, if you know, there's almost the original Avengers cast. I want to see Hulk come back there, because Hulk's one of my favorite superheroes. Wow, I really like the big monsters who blow everything up, but I'd like to see Hulk versus Thanos.
You ever heard of Octane?
No.
So, like, the only reason I know this superhero is because he was in... the guy who wrote this comic, he did an essay about violence in comics and how that's, like it's sort of like an argument, like the same as violence in video games, saying, it doesn't warp minds, it's actually an outlet or something. And, like, Octane was sort of like a spin-off of Hulk, in a way.
Was he good?
Like, I remember, like, the art looks really good or pretty good from what I could tell from the composition book that I got. And it's like a superhero that drinks gasoline, and that makes him stronger. And he just, like, it showed, like, the panel that they showed was him, like, smashing a bad guy's head in with a giant steel girder.
Do you know what I was thinking about this? I had this thing on what to do where I wanted to make a Marvel comic thing. It was going to be a fan comic. But it's all characters who wouldn't show up as big league characters or villains. You know, just like, they're below Spider-Man. They're about the Defenders level in the Netflix show. And I remember a character I had who was a gamma mutate. But you know how every Hulk villain is either the brain or the leader, and everyone else is giant mutants with muscles? His whole powers are in his legs. He can jump extremely fast. He's a kickboxer. And that would be a thing that he'd be a fast gamma mutate. All of his muscles are designed for locomotion. Man, I was also thinking, do you know who my favorite villain who will never show up ever again is? Snowblind. Ever heard of him?
Sounds familiar.
Or Snowblind or Snowflame, his power is that if he takes cocaine, he flies and shoots fire. And if they ever do a movie with him, I'm not sure if he's DC or Marvel, I think he's DC. I want him to be voiced by the guy who did Dr. Roxo. Cocaine! He's just shooting this guy. Oh, do you hear about the Joaquin Phoenix Joker movie? So what do you think about recasting Joker this earliest?
Well, I heard, and this was a while back, so I'm not sure if it's still true, but I heard that, like, the spin-off Joker with Joaquin Phoenix is separate from, like, because they're still going to have Jared Leto play Joker just in some of the movies. So, like, there's going to be the spin-off with Joaquin Phoenix, but Jared Leto is going to play the Joker in, like, the Suicide Squad sequel, if that is going to happen.
Do you know what I would do? Every Joker movie he's in, you switch who plays him and you switch for mannerism.
Right, yeah, you mentioned this before, and I think that is a pretty cool idea.
Yeah, and do you know who I would cast? Because I thought of a really dumb one. Terry Crews is the Joker. Because think about it, you know, you had the Batman, which is where they had the Joker with dreadlocks.
Yeah, where he looks like a gorilla. And I didn't really like that.
I didn't like his design, but I like some of the aspects of the character that they used. Sort of a voice.
I liked, well, Terry Crews could actually play Clayface better. Because, like, that's who was in Batman, like, the Batman was...
Was he a sympathetic character now?
Yeah, because his origin actually stems from the Joker. It's because Joker has the Joker putty, which he, like, sprays on, like, the Gotham Statue of Liberty.
Yeah.
And he breathes in some of the Joker putty, and that turns him into clay from the inside.
Okay, I don't know why I'm on a huge Terry Crews kick, because I just realized I mentioned twice this episode.
He's going to be in the new Crackdown.
Oh, that's awesome.
I mean, yeah, it looks okay.
No, I mean, just him in there.
Yeah, but, like, the game itself looks like Saints Row, like the new ones. It doesn't look like there's going to be any Battle Royale in it, but it looks like it's trying to go for the Saints Row 4 aesthetic.
Can I tell you a secret? I downloaded Fortnite on my Switch. I haven't played it yet. It's like I call it, like I have Pokken Tournament as a pistol held to my head, and I go, I'm thinking about trying Fortnite.
You want to wrap it up now?
Yeah.
All right. I think that's all we have to say about Twilight and everything else.
Yeah.
I've been Tony.
I've been Zach.
This has been the Monkey Bar.